Welcome to the Deep Dive, the indispensable shortcut you need to be brilliantly informed. We take a dense stack of sources, extract the knowledge gold, and give you the nuanced understanding required to truly grasp the topic at hand.
And today, we are immersing ourselves in one of the most, well, exciting, intense, and maybe potentially overwhelming destinations on the planet.
Oh, yes.
We are talking about the stunning, saffron-hued, and utterly captivating red city, Marrakech.
Marrakech, just the name. It conjures up images, doesn't it? Ancient walls, spice markets, that dazzling chaos. It's often called the Jewel of the South. A city that seems to whisper ancient tales, and yeah, it tops pretty much every serious traveler's bucket list. But here's the crucial question we're digging into for you, the listener, today. Does the reality, the actual experience, match up to that romantic image?
Exactly.
Is this vibrant, intense destination a truly unforgettable experience, or is it sometimes maybe just a beautiful mirage?
That is precisely our mission for this deep dive. Our sources, they've painted a pretty complex picture, balancing the incredible charm with the, let's say, intense practical realities of actually being there.
Right.
So we're going to dissect every facet, getting around, finding your perfect accommodation, the logistics, the food. Oh, the food.
Definitely the food.
And, maybe most importantly, we want to give you a definitive, nuanced verdict on the real vibe of Marrakech. We're aiming to deliver that shortcut. You need to feel completely prepared.
Yeah, we've got a really deep analysis here covering both the nuts and bolts, the travel practicality, but also that full cultural immersion. So let's not waste any more time. Let's get right into the heart of Morocco.
Let's do it.
Okay, so let's unpack this, starting with the absolute basics, the logistics that define your arrival.
Right.
The price of entry, basically, and those critical first few hours in the city.
Right. Landing in Marrakech Menara Airport, RAK as it's known,
Yeah.
It's often a traveler's first kind of pleasant surprise.
What?
Yeah, RAK is surprisingly modern, pretty efficient, well organized actually. Gives you a smooth initial entry, which is always nice when you're maybe bracing for a bit of culture shock.
That's good to know. And I found the accessibility angle in the sources truly remarkable. If you're traveling from Europe, well, you are definitely in luck.
Oh, absolutely. The rise of budget airlines has just completely changed the game for getting to North Africa from Europe.
Yeah, I saw that.
We saw consistent data showing round-trip tickets from major European hubs, think London, Paris, Madrid, can often be snapped up for as little as €50, maybe sometimes up to 150, but rarely more.
Wow.
That kind of affordability, thanks to airlines like Ryanair, EasyJet, it genuinely reframes Marrakech.
Right.
It becomes almost a potential spur-of-the-moment trip, maybe even just for a long weekend. That's a powerful pull.
It really is. But that accessibility, it just drops off a cliff, doesn't it, for long-haul travelers?
Yeah, big time.
For anyone coming from North America, that quick hop turns into, well, a significant journey, usually involving at least one layover, typically somewhere in Europe.
And we're looking at ticket prices typically ranging from, $600 up to $1,000 USD, sometimes more.
That's right. And the investment, both time and money, it only climbs higher if you're traveling from places like Asia or Australia. That kind of itinerary, it's almost guaranteed to involve at least 2 layovers.
Oof.
And the price point jumps significantly, often into the $1,000 to $1,500 USD range, or even higher. So for the long-haul visitor, the decision to go, it's a much more calculated investment and a major travel experience.
Definitely a bigger commitment.
Yeah.
Okay, so you've landed. The city center, specifically the Medina, the old city.
Yeah.
It's deceptively close, right? Only about 6 kilometers away.
Yeah, it's really near.
Now, this is where you get your first absolutely crucial Marrakech lesson, the airport transfer.
Ah, yes. The easiest option, practically speaking, is grabbing a taxi. But this is your real baptism by fire.
Huh.
Marrakech is a city of negotiation, and you must, absolutely must not, get into that taxi before you have agreed on a final, firm price. No meter running, agree the price up front. I remember reading about this. It feels like a scene from a movie, a real cultural curveball right off the bat.
It is. So if you're aiming for the Medina, or maybe the modern Galas area, a fair negotiated price,
yeah,
you should be targeting somewhere between 70 and 150 Moroccan dirham, that's MAD, which works out to roughly, 7 to 15 euro?
Okay.
And don't be shy about walking away if the initial offer is outrageous. That's just part of the process. Someone else will likely offer something more reasonable.
Good tip. Is there a difference in the types of taxis?
Yeah, it's helpful to know the difference between grand taxis and petite taxis. The petite taxis are the smaller, usually beige cars. They're meant for in-city trips.
All right.
Now, technically, they're supposed to run on a meter, but they often, let's say, forget.
Ah, the classic broken meter trick.
Exactly. Or it's not working today. So negotiation is still key. The Grand Taxis are larger, often older Mercedes, typically used for trips outside the city. But you might find them offering airport runs at a set, usually higher fee. Knowing which is which helps. But the rule is always the same. Firm price first.
Got it. Price first. Always. Now, what if you just want to avoid that whole negotiation scene, especially if you're arriving late or feeling a bit overwhelmed?
Well, you can prearrange a transfer directly through your riad or hotel. This is usually pricier, maybe closer to 20 or 30 euro.
Okay.
But it offers that convenience, right? Someone waiting for you with a sign helps you with your bags. It can be invaluable, especially for first-timers or late-night arrivals. Peace of mind.
That sounds like a good option for some. What about budget travelers? Is there a public transport alternative?
Yes, absolutely. For the really budget-conscious, there's a very efficient public option. The Alsa Bus number 19.
Alsa Bus 19, okay.
It costs just 30 MBD, so incredibly cheap. And it runs frequently, making stops at key points like the main train station and, crucially, the central Djemaa el-Fna square. It's an excellent choice if you're traveling light and really prioritizing those cost savings.
Great. So you've landed, you've somehow navigated the transfer situation.
Survived it.
And now you're actually inside the city walls, maybe in the Medina. How do you physically get around?
Right. Inside the Medina, the old walled city.
Yeah.
Walking is your primary reality. It's just the way it is.
Okay.
The area is dense, it's complex, a real labyrinth, and it's almost entirely pedestrianized, which is wonderful. It's incredibly immersive. But you need to be prepared for continuous maneuvering.
Maneuvering.
Yeah, you'll be constantly, and I mean constantly, dodging fellow travelers, dodging donkeys laden with goods.
Donkeys, really?
Oh, yeah, they're like the delivery trucks of the Medina. And most frequently, you'll be dodging motorbikes.
Yeah.
They use those narrow alleys like their personal highways. It truly demands your full attention, active participation. You can't just wander passively.
Wow. Okay, so intense walking inside the Medina. What about outside? Like going between the Medina and Galiz?
Okay, outside the Medina, those beige petite taxis we mentioned become essential.
Right, the ones with the potentially broken meters.
Exactly. As we said, they're supposed to be metered, but you absolutely must be prepared to negotiate that fare up front. For most rides within the main city limits, a fare price should generally land somewhere between 20 and 50 MAD.
20 to 50 dirham.
And here's another tip. Don't be afraid to pull up a map on your phone. Knowing the general route, or at least looking like you do, can help prevent those scenic detours that somehow justify a higher unmetered price.
Good point. Stay informed. And what about ride-sharing apps? Uber, Bolt, things like that? Are they an option?
That's a critical point.
Yeah.
Generally, no. Major ride-sharing apps like Uber or Bolt are either not operational or just not reliably available in Marrakech.
Okay.
So mastering that brief, polite, but firm negotiation with a taxi driver is really an essential skill for getting around efficiently. Otherwise, you'll find yourself quickly overspending your dirham.
Essential skill. The polite haggle. Got it. So once we've successfully navigated that initial negotiation, maybe finish a chaotic but amazing walk through the alleys, we definitely need a good place to retreat, to hide from that sensory overload.
Exactly.
Let's talk about accommodation, because for many travelers, finding the right place, often a riad, is actually a highlight of the Marrakech experience itself.
It really is. And choosing that sanctuary, your base, it's your next critical decision because it dramatically shapes the whole rhythm of your trip. Marrakech is pretty unique in offering like incredible opulence, but also deep cultural immersion at virtually every single price point.
Okay, so let's break down the range. What about for the backpacker or someone on a tighter budget?
Still very accessible. Dorm beds and hostels, you're looking at maybe 15 to 25 euros a night. And basic private rooms and simple guest houses, often still within the Medina, can be found in the 30 to 50 range.
That's pretty good.
Yeah, and these options often still let you soak up that Medina atmosphere and location without the higher price tag. You get the charm.
But the real star, architecturally speaking, seems to be the mid-range, right? The traditional riads.
Oh, absolutely. The riads, they are genuinely transformative. They're essentially old Moroccan houses, sometimes quite grand mansions that have been beautifully converted into stunning boutique hotels.
And the word riad itself means something specific, doesn't it?
Yes, it literally means garden. And they are all defined by that central courtyard. It's open to the sky, often featuring a small pool or fountain, and usually filled with lush greenery, orange trees, flowers. It's an oasis.
And that central courtyard isn't just for looks, is it? There's some clever design going on there.
Absolutely brilliant passive cooling design. The high walls surrounding the courtyard and the open sky create this microclimate. It can genuinely be 5, even 10 degrees Celsius cooler inside the Riyadh courtyard than out on the dusty, hot streets just beyond the main door.
That's amazing, like ancient air conditioning.
Pretty much. And architecturally, the details are just stunning. You see the intricate zellage tile work, those geometric mosaic tiles everywhere. And the ornate carved wooden screens, the mashrabiyah. Yeah, they allow people inside, traditionally women, to look out onto the courtyard or street without being easily seen from the outside. It maintains privacy while still allowing airflow. It's beautiful and functional.
So for that quintessential, peaceful Riyadh experience, personalized service, often a lovely breakfast included, what's the typical cost we're looking at?
For a good quality, well-located mid-range Riyadh, you're generally looking at about 70 to 150 euro per night, which, considering the experience, is fantastic value.
That does sound like great value. And what about the top end, if you really want to splurge?
Oh, Marrakech competes with any global luxury destination at the top tier. We're talking high-end riads with full spas, gourmet restaurants inside, massive swimming pools. Those start around 200 euro and can easily climb to 500 plus per night.
Wow.
And beyond the riads, the city also hosts major international chain hotels and these grand, sprawling resorts. They're often located a bit outside the hustle of the Medina, maybe in Geliz or the Palmyra, offering more insulated, perhaps more westernized luxury experience. Those usually start upwards of 300 euro.
Okay, so a huge range. Now, you mentioned location. Choosing the neighborhood seems almost as important as choosing the type of place.
It's fundamentally important. It really sets the pace and style of your entire trip. Let's do a quick neighborhood vibe check.
Perfect. First up, the big one, the Medina.
Right. The ancient, walled city. This is the vibrant, chaotic core. It's the ideal base, I'd say, for most first-time visitors, especially if you want to be able to walk everywhere to the Souks, to Djemaa el-Fna Square. It's deeply atmospheric, super convenient for sightseeing.
But there's a trade-off, right?
Always. You have to accept the Medina comes with noise, constant motion, and the genuine challenge of navigating those winding, narrow alleys. Google Maps often throws its hands up in despair in there. You'll get lost.
Part of the adventure, maybe?
You have to embrace it. Now, if that level of intensity sounds like, well, too much, then Geliz is probably your antidote.
Okay, Geliz, the new city.
Exactly. It was established during the French Protectorate era, so it's designed completely differently. Wide boulevards, grid-like street blocks, a much quieter, more westernized feel overall.
What do you find there?
Geliz offers high street shopping, familiar international brand stores, modern cafes, art galleries, reliable nightlife options. It's perfect if you crave more modern comforts and predictability.
But the caveat?
The caveat is distance. You lose that immediate immersion in the old city. You'll need to rely on those petit taxis or face maybe a 20-minute walk, maybe longer depending on where you are, to reach the historical sites back in the Medina.
Makes sense. And the third option sounds like something else entirely. The Palmyra.
Yeah, the Palmyra is the luxury escape route. It's literally an oasis of palm groves located outside the main city limits.
Okay.
It's dominated by large, upscale resorts, golf courses, very quiet, high-end spas. This area is purely about relaxation, about being insulated.
So not ideal if you want to easily pop out for sightseeing.
Not at all. If you stay in the Palmyra, you are basically signing up to rely entirely on taxis or hotel shuttles for every single venture into the city or to see the sights. The choice really boils down to immersive chaos, modern organization, or luxurious isolation.
That's a great summary. It really shows how Marrakech can cater to almost any travel style, as long as you choose your base camp wisely.
Exactly. Choose wisely.
Okay, that sets us up perfectly to talk about perhaps the biggest sensory experience that draws people in, the food, Moroccan cuisine. It's globally famous, isn't it? For its fragrant spices, that slow cooking philosophy, incredible use of fresh produce.
Oh, absolutely. This is where you connect directly with the heart of the culture through taste. The dish you simply must try, the iconic staple, is the tagine.
Right, the one cooked in the pot with the pointy lid.
That's the one. The conical clay pot. It's essentially a slow-cooked stew, and you'll find countless variations. Chicken tagine with olives and preserved lemons is classic. Or maybe beef with dates and almonds. Lamb with apricots. They're all cooked slowly until the meat is incredibly tender and the flavors just melt together.
Sounds amazing. Now, I saw something in the sources about a distinction, tagine versus tangia, is that right?
Ah, yes. Good catch. This is where the real deep dive insight comes in. Tangier is a Marrakech specialty, really unique to this city. It's also slow-cooked meat, usually lamb or beef, but the cooking method is totally different from a tangien.
How so?
Okay, what's fascinating here is the technique. The meat, often just with some saffron, cumin, preserved lemon, maybe some garlic and smai, aged butter, and a bit of water, is sealed into an amphora-like clay pot. It's also called a tangier.
Okay.
And then the sealed pot isn't cooked over a flame. Traditionally, it's taken to the local hammam, the public bathhouse, and buried overnight in the hot ashes of the furnace that heats the baths.
Wow, buried in ashes.
Yeah. It cooks at this super low, consistent temperature for hours and hours. The result is this incredibly rich, uniquely fatty, fall-apart, tender meat. It's less saucy than a tagine, more concentrated. Finding an authentic tangier spot often requires asking locals, maybe your riad host, as it's a real hyper-local tradition, not always obvious on the main tourist trails. That sounds incredible, a real culinary adventure to seek out. And of course, there's couscous.
Yes, couscous. Traditionally, it's the big centerpiece of the Friday family meal after prayers, but you'll find it widely available in restaurants throughout the week too, often served with 7 vegetables or with tender lamb or chicken.
Got it. What about drinks? What should we be looking out for?
Okay, 2 absolute essentials. First, you will be overwhelmed by the sheer availability of freshly squeezed orange juice.
Oh, yeah.
It's everywhere. Street stalls, cafes, often sold for just 4 or 5 MAD, which is less than 50 cents US. And it's vibrant, incredibly fresh, usually ice cold, just perfect.
Sounds dangerously addictive. It is. But the true symbol of Moroccan hospitality, the drink you'll be offered constantly, is mint tea, often called atay.
The famous sweet tea.
Exactly. It's usually green tea, heavily infused with fresh spearmint leaves, and traditionally a lot of sugar, though you can sometimes ask for less. It's served piping hot, and there's a whole ritual to pouring it from a height into small glasses to create a little foam on top.
Why the height?
It's partly theatrical, a sign of welcome, but it also helps to aerate the tea slightly and cool it just enough to drink. It's surprisingly refreshing, even when it's baking hot outside. And accepting it is really important culturally.
Good to know. Let's talk about costs for eating out, because it sounds like you can eat incredibly well without breaking the bank.
The value is genuinely unparalleled, especially compared to Europe or North America. If you stick to delicious street food things like mizmen, which is this amazing layered, flaky, almost like a square pancake, often served with honey or cheese. Or local pastries, you're spending mere pennies, like 5 to 15 MAD. A full, generous plate of food at one of those famous food stalls in Djemaa el-Fna Square at night, you might pay just 30 to 70 MAD.
That's incredibly affordable for a whole meal.
It really is. Then for mid-range dining, maybe enjoying a lovely tagine with a view from a riad rooftop terrace, or dining in a nice contemporary restaurant in Galiz. You can expect to pay somewhere between 100 and 200 MAD per person. That's maybe 10 to 20 euro for a really nice meal in a beautiful setting, exceptional value.
Wow. And the high end, if you want that Michelin star level experience.
Naturally, the high end exists too. If you're seeking world-class culinary art, some of the luxury hotels, like the Royal Mansour, their restaurant Le Grand Table Marocain is legendary. Places like that offer an entirely separate white glove tier of dining that will run you 300, 500 plus MAD per person, maybe more, offering truly exquisite food and service.
So literally something for every budget. That tiered price structure is really helpful to understand. Let's quickly touch on dining etiquette. You mentioned accepting mint tea. Anything else?
Yes. When you are offered that mint tea, always accept it, even if you just take a polite sip. Refusing is considered quite rude, as it's a fundamental gesture of welcome.
Okay, always accept the tea.
Also, while sharing food from communal dishes, like a large tagine platter, is very common, tradition dictates you should try to eat using only your right hand. This is particularly true when breaking bread or taking food directly from a shared dish. The left hand is traditionally considered unclean in Islamic culture.
Right hand only for communal food.
Got it. And finding those really authentic, non-touristy spots, what's the strategy?
The sources suggest a kind of two-pronged approach. First, definitely ask your riad host or hotel staff. They live there, they know the neighborhood, they can point you to the best, maybe slightly hidden, local hole-in-the-wall places that cater primarily to locals, not just tourists.
Good idea. Tap into local knowledge. Second, just wander. Get away from the main square and the busiest souk arteries. Look for small, unassuming eateries that are buzzing with local Moroccans, especially around lunchtime or dinner. That's always the best sign of good, authentic food.
Look for the crowds of locals. Makes sense. And a quick word on the spices. Is it all super spicy hot?
Not necessarily hot. Moroccan food is incredibly aromatic and layered with spices like cumin, coriander, cinnamon, ginger, turmeric. But it's not typically searingly hot like, say, some Thai or Indian food. You will encounter harissa, the chili base, which definitely has a kick.
Right.
But generally, it's more about complex, warm, fragrant spice blends. Just, embrace the flavors, but maybe proceed with mild caution if you see something that looks particularly fiery.
Good advice. Okay, we've covered getting there, staying there, eating there. Now let's move on to the doing. The actual must-see sights and experiences. We've compiled what seems like the definitely worth it list, the absolute core experiences that really define a trip to Marrakech.
All right, number one, completely unmissable. Djemaa el-Fna Square. We've mentioned it a few times, but it deserves its own spotlight. This is the vibrant, loud, chaotic, beating heart of the entire city.
Yeah.
And the real magic, the transformation, happens around dusk.
So it changes throughout the day?
Massively. During the day, it's kind of a sleepy square, relatively speaking. You'll see some snake charmers, maybe some guys with monkeys, lots of fresh orange juice stalls, maybe a few storytellers. But as the sun starts to set, it just explodes.
Explodes how?
Hundreds of temporary food stalls suddenly appear, firing up their grills, sending smoke and amazing smells into the air. Musicians strike up, playing traditional Nao music or Berber drums. Acrobats start performing incredible feats. Storytellers gather huge crowds around them. It becomes this overwhelming, almost medieval feeling open-air spectacle. It's organized chaos, unlike almost anything else you'll ever witness.
Wow, that sounds intense but incredible. Is there a best way to experience it?
Yes, the essential tip here, especially for your first time, is to arrive well before sunset. Go find a cafe or restaurant that has a rooftop terrace overlooking the square. Order a mint tea or an orange juice. Grab a seat right at the edge.
Watch from above.
Exactly. From that vantage point, you can watch the entire breathtaking transformation unfold below you. You get the sights, the sounds, the energy, but without being immediately crushed in the thick of the crowd down below. It lets you absorb the scale of it all first.
Great strategy. Okay, essential number 2. Diving into history with the incredible Bahia Palace.
Yes, Bahia means brilliance, and this 19th century palace truly lives up to its name. It's a stunning masterpiece of Islamic architecture and intricate Moroccan craftsmanship. You wander through courtyard after courtyard, room after room.
What stands out most?
The sheer detail. Incredibly intricate painted cedarwood ceilings, dazzling zellage mosaic tile work covering walls and floors. Those geometric patterns are just mesmerizing. Lush, peaceful gardens and courtyards. It really offers a glimpse into the opulent lifestyle of a powerful Grand Vizier back in the day.
And architecturally, there's something interesting about its design compared to European palaces, right?
Yes, that's a fascinating point. Unlike European palaces that were often built to project power outwards with grand, imposing facades, the Bahia Palace, built by the Grand Vizier Si Musa, focuses entirely inward. The exterior walls are deliberately quite simple, almost plain and unassuming.
Hiding the wealth.
Exactly. It hides the opulence within its courtyards and private chambers. This reflects a cultural emphasis on privacy, keeping family life and wealth shielded from the public eye within the Medina's walls. It's a different philosophy of architecture and power. Entry is very reasonable, about 70 AD.
And the tip for visiting?
Go early, like as soon as the gates open in the morning. This lets you beat the inevitable midday tour bus crowds and actually enjoy the serenity and beauty of the courtyards in relative peace and quiet. It makes a huge difference.
Early bird gets the palace. Got it. Okay, for our third essential experience, let's shift gears completely and explore the tranquil beauty of the Jardin Majorelle.
Ah, the Blue Garden. Yes, this is located outside the Medina, in Galles, actually. And it offers a totally different aesthetic. It's this vibrant, yet incredibly tranquil botanical garden filled with exotic plants, towering bamboo groves, cacti collections, all surrounding this stunning cubist villa painted in an intense, unique shade of cobalt blue majorelle blue.
It's got quite a history, too, hasn't it, involving fashion?
It does. It was originally created by the French Orientalist painter Jacques Majorelle back in the 1920s and 30s. After his death, it fell into disrepair.
Oh, no.
But then, famously, it was purchased and meticulously restored by the fashion icon Yves Saint Laurent and his partner Pierre Berger in the 1980s. Their passion project essentially saved the gardens for posterity.
And there's a museum there, too.
Yes, they established the Berber Museum within the grounds, housed in Majorelle's former painting studio. It's small, but absolutely fascinating, showcasing Berber culture, clothing, jewelry, and crafts. It's definitely worth the additional 50 MAD entry fee on top of the main garden entrance, which is 70 MAD.
Sounds lovely. Any practical advice for visiting Jardin Majorelle?
Absolutely critical advice. Book your tickets online. well in advance.
Why is that?
Because the queues that snake down the street outside the entrance are notoriously epically long. They strictly control the number of people inside any one time to maintain the tranquility. Pre-booking your timed entry slot online saves you potentially hours of standing in the hot sun. Don't just show up.
Book online. Crucial tip. Okay, and finally, the fourth essential experience. You have to just dive in and embrace the labyrinth, right? The souks of the Medina.
You absolutely have to. The souks are more than just a market. They are a sprawling, pulsating, organized chaos. It's an entire world unto itself.
How are they organized? Is there any logic?
There is, traditionally. The markets are loosely divided by craft or trade. So you'll wander through the area for the leather workers, smelling the tanning process, seeing bags and shoes being made. Then you'll stumble into the spice souk, with its mountains of colorful powders and intense aromas. Then maybe the textile area with vibrant carpets and djellabas. Then the metal workers banging out intricate lanterns. It's the ultimate sensory overload experience.
Sounds like getting lost is guaranteed.
Oh, completely. Your senses will just be assaulted in a good way, mostly. By the colors, the smells of leather, mint, saffron, maybe mixed with perfume oils, and the constant soundtrack. The hammering of metal, the calls of the vendors, the chatter in Darija, the distant music.
Any tips for navigating the souks and maybe buying something?
Okay, my crucial tip for the souks is this. Prepare yourself mentally to haggle, but do it with patience, a sense of humor, and respect. It's not an argument. It's an expected, almost necessary cultural interaction. It's a dance.
How do you start?
A general rule of thumb is to maybe start your offer at around 50% of the vendor's initial quoted price. Then, through polite back and forth, you work your way up to a price that you both feel is fair. Be prepared to walk away politely. If you can't agree sometimes, that actually brings the price down.
The walk-away tactic. Classic. What if you just feel totally overwhelmed by the scale and complexity?
That's really common, especially on your first visit. The alleys are winding and intentionally confusing in places, so consider hiring an official, accredited local guide just for your first couple of hours in the souks.
Ah, guide.
Yeah, they can give you an orientation, explain the different craft quarters, courtier, maybe show you some reputable workshops, and crucially, teach you a bit about the etiquette of browsing and bargaining. It can make your subsequent independent explorations much less intimidating and far more enjoyable.
That sounds like a really smart investment. Okay, 4 incredible, essential Marrakech experiences. But now, balance is key for travelers. We need to manage expectations. What activities or sites might be on the maybe not worth it list or require a different approach?
Right, managing time and energy is crucial. First, let's talk about the Koutoubia Mosque. It's the absolute defining landmark of the city. Its massive minaret dominates the skyline. It's beautiful, historically significant.
Variety.
But the interior of the mosque is strictly off-limits to non-Muslim visitors. That's standard practice for most operational mosques in Morocco. So, absolutely admire the stunning exterior, take your photos, appreciate its presence in history, especially how the minaret was designed as a prototype for others. But don't dedicate valuable sightseeing time trying to figure out how to visit the inside. It's not possible. Focus your energy on places you can actually enter and immerse yourself in.
That's a really practical time saver. Good point. Okay, what's next on the maybe skip or be cautious list?
Secondly, we need to issue a pretty strong caution, based on the sources, against engaging with aggressive, self-appointed guides or falling for the infamous tannery tours offered by touts.
Ah, the touts. Where do you usually encounter them?
They often lurk near the main gates of the Medina, like Bab Agnou, or around the edges of Djemaa el-Fna. They'll approach you, sometimes quite persistently.
What's their tactic?
A common one is the redirection scam. They'll tell you, oh, the souk is closed for lunch now, or that palace you're going to, it's only open in the afternoon today. It's usually not true.
So why do they do it?
They're trying to redirect you, to helpfully guide you somewhere else, often to a specific tannery viewpoint or a particular carpet shop where they receive a hefty commission on anything you might buy under pressure. These fake tours often end with really high-pressure sales pitches designed to guilt or coerce you into making a purchase.
Right, the commission scheme. And the tanneries themselves. Are they worth seeing that way?
Well, ethically and practically. Maybe not via these touts. The traditional tanneries involve strong smells from the tanning process. They often give you mint leaves to sniff, and the conditions can sometimes seem quite harsh or unsanitary from a Western perspective. More importantly, the tout-led experience is just designed to extract money.
So what's the alternative if you're interested in leather goods?
Our advice is to bypass these forced encounters entirely. If you want to buy leather goods, bags, jackets, poofs, visit reputable, established shops within the souks themselves, many of which have fixed prices or are at least more straightforward to negotiate with. Crucially, do not follow anyone who approaches you claiming your intended route is closed or offering a shortcut. Just stay firm, give a polite but clear "no thank you," la shukran, and keep walking confidently.
Firm but polite refusal. Got it. Okay, what else should travelers perhaps reconsider?
Finally, let's address some of the animal interactions, specifically the Djemaa el-Fna horse-drawn carriage rides, and maybe some of the street entertainers involving animals.
The carriages look quite romantic in photos.
They can look it, yes, but the reality is they're often quite overpriced for what they are. They also contribute significantly to the already intense traffic congestion around the square and in the Medina entrances. And sadly, our sources consistently noted concerns regarding the welfare of the horses. They often appear quite tired, sometimes thin or neglected. For a more ethical and, frankly, often quicker way to get around, stick to walking or negotiate a fair price with a petite taxi.
That's important ethical context. What about the snake charmers or monkey handlers in the square?
Yeah, while the snake charmers especially are historically part of the Djemaa el-Fna spectacle, it's really worth considering skipping direct interaction or payment. Paying for photos or performances often directly supports practices that involve questionable animal welfare, snakes defanged, monkeys kept in poor conditions. Plus, once you engage or take a photo, you will be persistently, sometimes aggressively, hassled for money.
So better to observe from a distance.
Exactly. It's probably better and less stressful to simply watch the musicians, the acrobats, the storytellers from the relative safety and comfort of one of those rooftop terraces we talked about earlier. You get the atmosphere without encouraging potentially harmful practices.
Really valuable practical insights there for managing the potential pitfalls. Okay, now let's zoom out a bit and talk about the intangibles. Beyond the sights and the logistics, what is the true, unfiltered vibe of Marrakech? The feeling you get that doesn't always make it onto the glossy brochures.
It is, without a shadow of a doubt, a full-on sensory assault. In the best and sometimes most challenging way. It's a city that demands engagement from all five senses, constantly and simultaneously.
Give us some examples.
You've got the overwhelming visual vibrancy, the colors of the dyed wool, the spices, the textiles, the tiles. Then there are the rich, complex aromas, that heady mix of cinnamon and ginger from a spice stall, blending with the smell of baking bread, fragrant mint tea, but also, yeah, the exhaust fumes from the buzzing motorbikes.
And the sounds.
Oh, the sounds. It's a constant symphony, or maybe cacophony sometimes. The haunting call to prayer, echoing from the Kutubia minaret 5 times a day. The insistent chatter and calls of the hawkers in the souks, the revving engines, the distant, repetitive beat of Noah drums or Berber music filtering through the alleys. It feels ancient and modern, chaotic and charming, all mashed together at once.
It sounds incredibly alive. Let's focus on the positives first. What are the standout good vibes?
Okay, beyond the initial hustle, particularly if you step even just a few blocks away from the main tourist hubs, the sources consistently highlight the genuine, intense warmth and hospitality of the Moroccan people. An offer of tea, a helpful direction. There's a real generosity of spirit.
That's lovely.
And then there's the sheer beauty, the architectures. We've discussed the intricate mosaics, the peaceful riad courtyards. It's breathtaking. Plus, the city is incredibly affordable, especially for food and local crafts, offering these rich, immersive cultural experiences on almost any budget. And the energy, even the chaos, it's truly infectious once you tune into it.
Okay, but we have to acknowledge the other side too, the challenges, the mayhem factor.
Absolutely. You have to be prepared for the friction. That hustle culture we mentioned is real, and it can be intense, especially in the most tourist-heavy areas. Touts, persistent vendors. It requires a level of assertiveness that might be initially uncomfortable for some travelers.
And the concept of time.
Yeah, the concept of time can feel much more fluid. Things might run late, appointments might shift. The phrase, "Inshallah, if God wills it," is common, reflecting an acceptance that things don't always go exactly to a rigid plan. This can be jarring if you're expecting strict Western punctuality. Initial culture shock is pretty much inevitable because Marrakech doesn't really accommodate passive observation. It demands your full engagement, your adaptation.
What about things like cleanliness?
We should provide realistic context here. While the main tourist arteries and squares like Djemaa el-Fna are generally kept quite clean, some of the deeper, more neglected back alleys in the Medina can be quite dusty, maybe a bit grimy, with litter issues sometimes. It's not pristine everywhere. And as we already discussed, those ethical concerns regarding animal welfare and certain tourist activities do persist and are something to be aware of.
Right. And safety. How does it feel on the ground? What about street smarts?
Generally speaking, Marrakech is considered a safe city for travelers, especially regarding violent crime, which is rare. However, like any place with dense crowds, petty theft is definitely a concern. You need to be extremely alert to pickpocketing, especially in the crush of Djemaa el-Fna at night or the tight, narrow passages of the Souks. Keep valuables secure and out of sight.
And the scams we mentioned.
Yes, you absolutely need to employ your street smarts to navigate those common scams. The classic, "this place is closed," redirection trick we talked about, taxi drivers claiming the meter is broken or taking a very long route, maybe overly persistent children offering to guide you home for money. The key is to be polite but firm. Know where you're going, or look like you do, keep your boundaries strong, and don't be afraid to say no clearly. Stay alert.
Polite, firm, alert. Good mantra. And finally, a necessary point on cultural respect, particularly regarding dress code.
Yes, this is important. While Marrakech, especially in tourist areas in Galiz, is more liberal than some other parts of Morocco, it is still a predominantly Muslim country with conservative cultural norms, particularly in the Old Medina. It is strongly advised, particularly for women, to dress modestly when exploring the Medina and religious sites.
What does modestly mean in practice?
Generally, covering your shoulders and your knees is recommended. So maybe long skirts or trousers rather than shorts, and tops with sleeves rather than tank tops. This isn't about a strict law, but it's a sign of respect for the local culture. And practically speaking, dressing more modestly often helps to minimize specific types of unwanted attention or excessive scrutiny, allowing you to blend in a little more and feel more comfortable. Marrakech is real, it's raw, it's alive, and showing the basic respect for its rhythms goes a long way.
Excellent points. Okay, we have covered a huge amount of ground. The logistical entry point, finding that architectural sanctuary in a riad, the amazing culinary delights, the absolute must-do activities versus the maybes, and that complex, intangible atmosphere. It feels like it's time for the final synthesis. We started with the big question. Is Marrakech truly worth it?
And my nuanced verdict, drawing from the breadth of these sources, is a strong yes.
Yes.
Marrakech is absolutely worth it. But, and it's a significant but, that comes with some very clear asterisks.
Asterisks, okay.
It is intensely challenging and incredibly rewarding, often in the very same moment. Which means its suitability is highly dependent on the type of traveler you are and what you're seeking from a trip.
So let's break that down. Who is this vibrant, sometimes chaotic city the perfect fit for?
It's ideal, I think, for the genuinely adventurous traveler, the dedicated culture seeker, the serious foodie looking for authentic flavors, the history lover fascinated by Islamic architecture and ancient ways of life, and anyone who genuinely thrives on, or is at least open to, intense sensory immersion.
And people who don't mind a bit of interaction.
Exactly. If you can handle, maybe even enjoy, polite negotiation as a cultural exchange. If you deeply appreciate exquisite, historically rich craftsmanship and architecture,
Yeah.
and if you're perhaps seeking an affordable yet globally unique luxury experience in a riad, Marrakech will likely profoundly enchant you.
Okay. Now for the flip side. Who should maybe think twice, or perhaps skip Marrakech altogether?
It might not be the best fit for those who actively require their vacations to be consistently quiet, passive, and serene. If you find yourself easily overwhelmed by crowds, constant noise, and frequent interaction, Marrakech might feel like hard work.
And the haggling aspect.
Yes, if you genuinely dislike any form of negotiation or bargaining, or if you strongly prefer predictable, highly westernized service standards with absolutely no rough edges or unexpected challenges, you might find Marrakech too intense. It requires a certain amount of emotional effort and adaptability. It is definitely a city that demands you show up fully present and engaged.
That's an incredible framing. It sounds like Marrakech isn't just a place you visit, it's a place that forces you to grow as a traveler. It shifts the whole experience from just passive observation toward active participation, constant decision-making.
Exactly that. Which leads to the final takeaway from our sources. Marrakech fundamentally requires travelers to very quickly learn to adopt and adapt to its unique local rhythm. It demands finding this delicate, sometimes tricky, but essential balance.
A balance between
Between genuinely appreciating the undeniable warmth and hospitality of Moroccan culture when you encounter it, and simultaneously successfully navigating that competitive, sometimes exhausting, Medina hustle. And this whole dynamic, this need to constantly engage and adapt, it raises a really critical closing thought for you, the listener, to consider.
Okay, let's hear it.
If a destination demands such active, intense engagement from you, not just looking, but navigating, negotiating, adapting, how does successfully meeting those challenges, successfully finding that balance, ultimately redefine your own concept of what travel means? Could it force you to develop a kind of resilience, a deeper cultural understanding, maybe even a self-awareness that you simply might not achieve in a gentler, more predictable location?
Wow, that's a truly profound thought to mull over. How travel that challenges us might actually change us more deeply. A fantastic way to wrap up this deep dive into the captivating, complex Red City.
It certainly leaves you thinking.
Thank you for joining us on the deep dive. Until next time, travel wisely, stay curious, and maybe consider if you're ready for the Marrakech challenge.
Safe journeys.